Guten Tag. This is German with Kate Languages. Thank you for downloading this free introductory lesson on German phonics. The worksheet I'm going to be talking us through during the lesson is available on my website, katelanguages.co.uk/courses. And if you're enjoying my free content, please head over to buymeacoffee.com/katelanguages to show your support. That'd be really great. Thank you. So today we're looking at German phonics. We're going to look at 5 German sounds, key sounds that are different to English. And when you know that these letters and these sounds are slightly different to English, this will help you to be able to read and pronounce German really, really well. So the first one is the letter J. So the letter J in German is almost always a Y sound. So examples, really common, the word for yes is ja. So ja. And the word for years is Jahre. Jahre. The letter J is almost always at the beginning of words. You rarely find it in the middle or at the ends of words. But yeah, as I said, it's almost always a y. Some words that have come from like English or French, the J is pronounced like the English J. So the word for jeans is jeans, eine jeans, and jogging in German is joggen, joggen. Other than that, very few examples where it's a J. The letter J is pretty much always a Y sound. So, for example, again, ja, meaning yes, or Jahre, meaning years. The second sound we're going to look at is the letter combination CH. So there are actually 2 different ways of saying CH in German. It's either a hard ch sound, like in the Scottish word loch, so it's a sound, or if you speak Spanish, it's a bit like the J in Spanish, a ch sound, comes from the back of your throat. Or it can be a softer sound, which for a long time I thought didn't have an English equivalent, and then I read something recently in an ancient German, like learn German book, that pointed out it's like the beginning of words like huge. So when you hear that at the beginning, huge, that's what the sound is. So we either have like in loch, or like in huge, so or okay. So examples of the softer sound is the word for I in German, which is ich. Ich. It is pronounced differently in different accents. So there are parts of Germany where the word for I is ish, and the CH might come out as more of a sh sound. And there are other parts of Germany where it's more of a k sound, so like ik. But the way I'm going to be teaching pronunciation and the way that I speak is more the Hochdeutsch, and then it's ich, ich. The word for not is nicht, nicht. So you've got the sh in there as well. So that's a soft sh sound. So again, ich and nicht. Okay, so if you want to repeat these after me when I pause there, so you can practice them yourself. The harder ch sound in words like Woche, which means week. So again, I'll say it and I'll pause so you can repeat. Woche, Woche, which means week. And the word for book, which is Buch, Buch. So that's Buch, Buch. Okay, so again, just a difference between the 2 sounds. Ich, Woche. Yeah, so sh like in huge and ch like in loch. Ich, Woche. Hope you can hear the difference between those 2 sounds. Third sound is actually 2 different sounds, but they're both different to English, and people kind of get them muddled up. So I thought I'd put them together. So a W in German sounds like a V, and a V sounds like an F. And actually, VW, as in the car manufacturer, is VW in German. So V is V, W is V. That might help you to remember. It helps me when I'm trying to remember what the letters actually are in German. Okay, so W is like a V. So examples I've got here, like the word for how, which is wie. And actually most of the question words in German start with a W. So was, meaning what, or warum, meaning why. They start with a V sound. So wie is how, wie. Then the word for 12, which is 12. So we've got quite a difficult letter combination here, consonant cluster sound here at the beginning, which we just don't have in English at all. So the Z as well is like a TS, almost like tss. So we have to start with tss, then we go to V. So tsv. Not something we have in English, but reasonably common in German. So number 2 is zwei as well, or 12 is 12. So I'm going to say those ones again for you to be able to repeat them after me. Wie, 12. Okay, so words beginning with a V, for example, vier, meaning 4, the number 4, vier. And then the word for a lot, or many, is viel. So yeah, so there's a difference between the W, which is a V, like V, and then a V, which is like a F, like viel, or vier. Okay, the 4th letter combination is EI and IE. Again, people get this muddled up all the time, but it's always the same. So EI is always pronounced like I, as in eyes and ears. So EI is I, and IE is E. EI is I, and IE is E. And actually, the word I, spelled EI, means egg. So it is a word in and of itself as well. So examples, the number 3 is drei. One way of trying to remember that EI is pronounced I is the first 3 numbers in German, 1, 2, 3, are all spelt EI because that's how they're pronounced. It's always spelled like that, EI. So 1, 2, 3. So if you're trying to remember if EI is I or not, think of the first 3 numbers. And if you know how they're spelt, and remember that 1 is EINS, I don't think many people would try and spell it IE. So yeah, so EI is I, like 1, 2, 3. Another example is mein, meaning my. Okay, so I'm going to say all of those, including the numbers, with a gap, and you can repeat after me. 1, 2, 3. And then the other word we had is mein. So IE is always E. For example, we've just had above the word for how, meaning V, which is V, sorry. So the word for how is V, which we've just had above, with the example of the W being a V sound. And the number 7 is sieben. So I'm going to run through the 4 examples that I've got on the worksheet here. I'm going to say them and you can repeat them after me again. Drei, mein, wie, 7. Number 5. Again, there's more than one sound here. These are the vowels with umlauts or Umlauta. They don't really have an equivalent in English, but I'm going to try and explain to you how to say them. So an A with an umlaut sounds a bit like an E sound. So A with an umlaut is an E, like the letter E, like E, E. Okay, to make the sound with the O with the umlaut, you need to say A, but make your mouth into a round shape. Okay, so as you're saying A, go like this with your mouth, or O, but you're saying A. Okay, so your mouth is as if you're saying O, but you're actually saying A. Okay, sounds really weird until you do it, and then you should end up with an sound. So A, works. Probably feel a bit silly doing it. So that's an That's an O with an umlaut. Okay, to say a letter U with an umlaut, U, you need to say E and then make your mouth round. Okay, so it's similar to the last one, but you end up with a different sound. So E. I feel a bit silly doing it as well. So U, and you end up with the right sound. So there's 3 letters with the umlauta. U. Examples of these. A with an umlaut. An example is nächste. Nächste. So it's nächste. The sh sound is quite hard in there as well. So nächste, meaning next. And the example of an O with an umlaut we've already had is the letter 12, which is 12. 12. Yes, you've got your sound in there. 12. And the letter U with an umlaut is another number, and it's the number 5, which is 5. Okay, so I'm going to say them all again with a gap so you can repeat. Nächste. 12. 5. Okay, these ones do take a bit of practice, but they are really important because quite often the umlaut tells you which tense you're in, or quite often a plural needs an umlaut, so therefore your vowel sound changes. And we're going to see an example of this in the text that we're going to use now to practice the pronunciation. So this is a text about a family. I'm going to read it, and you can either try to say it to yourself and then listen to what I say. So you're sort of trying to work out how to say it and then listen to how I say it afterwards, or listen to what I say and then repeat after me, or just listen to me all the way through, then try and say it yourself again. Then you can rewind and listen to it again. There are lots of different ways of doing this, depending on how, do you feel confident already pronouncing these letters and these sounds? Do you want to hear me first? This is up to you. Okay, so I'm going to say each sentence with a pause between so that you've got a chance to repeat it after me. So, hallo, wie geht's? Ich heiße Katrin und ich bin 12 Jahre alt. Aber nächste Woche werde ich 13 sein. Hier ist meine Familie. Es gibt meine Mutter, meine 2 Brüder und mich. Meine Mutter heißt Anja und sie ist 45 Jahre alt. Okay, so the first sound that we looked at was the letter J, which is a Y sound. You can see we've got quite a few examples of that in here. So we've got Jahre, which was one of our examples previously when I was going through the sounds. And we've also got the example of the mother's name, which is Anya. So as I said, it's very rare to have a J in the middle of a word. It's usually at the beginning of the word, but I thought I found a name like Anya with a J in the middle, just to show even if it ever does come up in the middle of a word, it's still a Y sound. So the second sound we looked at was the CH, wasn't it? So if we look at some of the different CH sounds, so ich, example that we had to start with, ich. Ich heiße Katrin, ich bin 12 Jahre alt. Nächste, so nächste is a softer ch sound. Woche being a harder ch sound. Die 13, also ich get there as well. Hier ist meine Familie, es gibt meine Mutter, meine zwei Brüder und mich, so ich und mich, both a soft sound. I think that's it for that one. Okay. The next one's W and V. So if we look at the W's first, so wie geht's? Wie geht's? We had 12, which is 12, 12. Woche, meaning week, Woche, and then werde, which means will. It's used to talk about the future in German, werde. Ist meine Familie, es gibt meine zwei, yeah, so as I said, 12 and 2, both have that v, which is quite hard to say. And that's it. So in terms of the V's, which is a f, we've got 40 here, meaning 40, oops, here. 40, 5 und 40. 40 means 40. I don't think there are any other examples of V. No. Okay. So what else we have? EI and IE. Okay, we've got loads of these in here because it's a really common sound in German. So let's go through the E's first because we've got V here. So V. Okay, other IEs. We do have it here on the end of Familie, but we actually need to pronounce that slightly differently. That's ihr on the end. Familie. Familie here. Here, also E is an E sound. Here. Sounds like English here. Here. Sie, meaning she. Sie is also an E sound. Okay. EIs, meaning, which is pronounced I. So heiße. So ich heiße means my name is. Heiße. 13. 13. And sein, which is the verb to be. Very important verb. Meine, meaning my. Okay, so we've got meine Mutter, meine zwei Brüder. Zwei, as I said, 1, 2, 3, or EI, or pronounced I. Heist, yeah, we already had heiße and heist. And that's it. So yeah, lots of I sounds in there as well. And then we have Umlauta. So there's one example of each one, I think. Even Umlaut, nächste Woche, nächste, nächste. That's the one that we had. So it's like an E sound, nächste. O with an Umlaut, 12. And then the U with an Umlaut here is Brüder. Meine zwei Brüder. So this is one of those where I said when it's a plural, you have an umlaut and it changes the pronunciation and it lets you know that it's a plural. So one brother is ein Bruder. So you say, ich habe einen Bruder. If you have two brothers, it's Brüder. Zwei Brüder, like in this example here. So some people struggle to hear the difference between the two of these. Because it's not sounds that you necessarily heard before. So I'm going to say them again, see if you can hear the difference. Bruder, Brüder. Ein Bruder, zwei Brüder. Okay, try and say them after me as well. Ein Bruder, zwei Brüder. Okay, and then we also have 5 here as well, the number 45, but yeah, 5. Okay, so I'm going to read it all again. now that I've gone through all the different sounds. There were a couple of other little things actually, in that the R in German is a little bit like the R in French, in that it comes from the back of your throat, but it's not quite as harsh as a French R, I would say. So it's more of a R sound. So the name here, for example, Katrin, is a R, so you get the R at the back there, or Jahre, Jahre. It's not always pronounced so. So the example in Werde, you don't say Werde, there's no R in there, so it's Werde, Werde. So it just depends where it's, so that's leading up to another consonant. We're not pronouncing it there. That's not a hard and fast rule though. But yeah, most of the time it is a R sound. Oh, and at the end of a word like Mutter, it's not pronounced. It's like in English, if you have an ER on the end, you don't say R. That's not like mother. It's just an sound again, so Mutter, Mutter. Okay, so that was another point, and I've already said about a Z being a ts sound. Okay, so I'm going to read through it again, and again you can either pause now, try and say the whole thing all to yourself, and then double check when I say it. Say each sentence by yourself, and then check how I've said it. Or again, just listen to me and repeat after me if you're still thinking, I need some more practice on this before I'm feeling confident. Okay. Hallo, wie geht's? Ich heiße Katrin und ich bin 12 Jahre alt. Aber nächste Woche werde ich 13 sein. Hier ist meine Familie. Es gibt meine Mutter, meine 2 Brüder und mich. Meine Mutter heißt Anja und sie ist 45 Jahre alt. Okay, so again, you can stop and repeat and rewind and listen to it as many times as you want, just to get an idea of how it's all pronounced, how German should sound. So now you know how it should sound. Do you actually know what this paragraph means? So I'm going to go through the translation of it. Again, if you want to pause, work out the translation for yourself, and then check with my answers. The answers are on the last page of the worksheet as well, if you want to check it yourself after that as well. Okay, so hallo, wie geht's is hello, how are you? Ich heiße Katrin und ich bin 12 Jahre alt. My name is Katrin and I'm 12 years old. Aber nächste Woche werde ich 13 sein. But next week I will be 13. Hier ist meine Familie. Here's my family. And that's because there's a photo here above of the family. Es gibt meine Mutter, meine 2 Brüder und mich. There's my mum. So es gibt is there is. There is my mum, my 2 brothers and me. Meine Mutter heißt Anja, my mum's called Anja, und sie ist 45 Jahre alt, and she is 45 years old. So I'm going to do another lesson about numbers, and this is a really important thing to know about numbers. In German, you say 5 and 40. So when you're doing numbers bigger than 20, you say the unit before the 10. But yeah, there will be a lesson on numbers coming up. So 45 is 45. Okay, so a bit of a retrieval quiz. I would suggest you can do this quiz now if you really, really want to, but leave it for a while. I mean, do the quiz now, and then again, do it again tomorrow, maybe do it again in a week, do it again in a month, just so that you are making sure that you're really remembering all these sounds. So phonics is so important, and knowing the key sounds in German that are different to English is so vital to be able to understand and speak, understand people speaking, and for you to speak German yourself. So yeah, keep coming back to the quiz at regular intervals. All right, question number 1. How do you say J in German? So the letter J is pronounced Y. Yeah, so like ja, meaning yes, or Jahre, meaning years. Question number 2. What are the 2 different ways of pronouncing CH? Try and think of examples if you can. So the answer, we have a softer sh sound, like in ich or mich. And then we have a harder ch sound, like in Woche or Buch. Okay, question number 3. How do you pronounce the letter W? So W is a V sound, like I just said, Woche starts with a W, or V, meaning how. And what about the letter V? So the answer is the letter V is like a F sound, like vier, the number 4, vier. Okay, question 4. Which letter combination makes the E sound? Okay, so is it EI or is it IE? Which one makes it E sound? So is it 1, 2, 3? No, because that's the I sound. So the E sound is IE, like Z. And question number 5. How do you say each of the 3 letters that have umlauts or umlauta? So A with an umlaut is E. O with an umlaut is Ö. And U with an umlaut is Ü. Okay, and if you need reminding of how to actually make your mouth do those sounds, should go back to how to do those again. Okay, so A with an umlaut is E, like English E. It's kind of the closest, the one that's got the closest equivalent. To make an Ö, you say A and make your mouth into a round shape. So A, and so the letter U, you say E and make your mouth round. So E, and there it is. That is how you pronounce these different sounds in German that we don't necessarily have in English, or that are slightly different to how we generally pronounce them in English. So as I said, thank you for downloading this free lesson on German phonics. And if you're enjoying my free content, please go over to buymeacoffee.com/katelanguages to show me your support. That'd be really great. Okay, thank you.